Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Conversations with me, Kristie. I am your host, and I am also the visionary for all things HERverse. As a reminder, HERverse is an organization with three offerings. One is for second in command leaders to have community and peer group interactions. We also have Lead Her, which is a community for the women who report to a second in command leader, so leadership team members. And then we have the other leg of our stool is Accelerate, which is coaching for visionaries, integrators, and second in command leaders and leadership team members. So we are super excited this week to have Amanda Barkey on. Amanda is an EOS implementer and probably one of my favorite people on the planet. So Amanda, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. I'm so excited.
Oh, me too. Me too. When you agreed to be on, I was just so thrilled. I was like, yes, I wanted to have you on for sure. So Amanda, I want to give you an opportunity. Introduce yourself. I know you're an EOS implementer, but there's some other things you do. So just tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Okay, so I'm a first generation born Canadian. My grandparents were all political refugees. My parents are immigrants. I did not come from an entrepreneurial family. We were just trying to survive, make ends meet. I came from very humble beginnings, but I met my husband in the early O's, and I swear he came out of the womb with a business plan. He is the visionariest of all visionaries. So we've been living an entrepreneurial life together for a couple of decades, and we've been building a life of legacy and love together. We're partners in everything, in business, in family, in parenting. We have 5 beautiful children. I had 4 kids in 5 years. And then we adopted our oldest. So I'm a foster and adoption advocate, parent, and also I'm an EOS implementer. So my husband and I, we discovered Traction over a decade ago. We read Traction in the early startup years of our business. We own a business called ConvHERsation. It's a children's soccer program for 2 to 8-year-olds. So it's a franchise. We've owned franchises in Miami, Florida. We own 4 franchises here in Orange County, California, and 3 years ago we expanded to Oahu, Hawaii. So we own a couple of ConvHERsation franchises there, and we are just living our EOS life every single day. We run our business on EOS. We run our family on EOS. I am doing my life's most fulfilling and rewarding work, working with clients as a certified EOS implementer. So that's a little bit about me. I love the beach. I love sunsets. I love gardening. I garden and make succulent arrangements in my free time, which is not very often these days, but I also love to travel. So yeah, and I'm a big coffee lover. So those are a few things about me.
Nice. I love that. I love that. And I meant to tell you a while back that I met a gentleman here in Birmingham where I'm at that has a ConvHERsation, the franchise here. And I mentioned your name and he was like, oh, I definitely know her. I love her.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are owners all across the US and Canada, and it's just such a great community. I mean, we're kind of old doggies in this community. We've been in it since like the early years of franchise development, but we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary or birthday this year as an organization. So yeah, we have ConvHERsation friends all over the US and Canada, and yeah, it's a fun time. It's a great business to be in, and I'm glad to be here.
I love that. I love that. Well, I know you mentioned, the EOS implementer, and of course that's how I know you. Yeah. And so I'm curious, Amanda, how many clients have you worked with now? Like, what has that been like for you?
Yeah, so my journey's been interesting. Like it's, it has ebbed and flowed over the years. Being in the ConvHERsation community, there are probably a third of the owners across the US and Canada using EOS. It's a franchise full of self-implementers. I'm a repentant, reformed self-implementer myself. But, we're gritty, entrepreneurial minded kind of folks. And it really took off like wildfire about 10 years ago within our ConvHERsation community. And at that time when we were like really in startup phase still, and we were broke as a joke. And so we read traction and started using the tools, and it just completely profoundly changed our lives, both personally and professionally. My husband he dove right in, and I think he tracked like 300 hours learning EOS, reading traction and, resourcing anything he could at that time. And so at one point in time, he was the most proficient self-implementer, certainly that I knew, and within our Soccer Shot system. And so he and I coached other Soccer Shots owners over the years before I became an implementer, before I went to boot camp. And then post-COVID, I decided to jump in with both feet and go to boot camp and do this thing for real and become an implementer. So since boot camp and tracking my sessions from that point, and that was in 2022, I'm coming up on my 100th session. So nice. My next session will be my 100th. So and I've been doing it professionally now I went to boot camp in February of 2022. So it's coming up on 3 years.
Congratulations. That's fun. What do you think has been your biggest aha moments working with in 100 sessions? What are some of those big moments that you're like, wow, like this was profound?
Yeah. I think like the very first tool that I teach, that any implementer teaches on focus day, is the accountability chart. And it never ceases to amaze me every time I do a focus day, just the clarity that provides, just doing that first tool in the initial session. It's always really astounding to me when I get the feedback at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, like we've been trying to sort this stuff out for years, and now we have so much clarity around who does what. And it just like puts everything kind of like really just clarifies where we're going to go from there on out. And so accountability chart for me, every time it's astounding what the feedback that I get from just doing that one tool. And there've been a lot of really like interesting breakthroughs, especially in annuals. We go a little bit deeper. When we're doing annual planning, it's a 2-day retreat style back-to-back sessions that typically will go away to like a place where we can sequester ourselves and get out of the day-to-day of our personal and professional lives. And it just creates a space to work on team health. The very first day, the second day, we bring it all down to the ground and we create a strategic plan for the year. But the first day, we really work on team health, and we do personal histories and one thing commitments, and it can get pretty emotional. And so that's I think where I've seen a lot of breakthrough as far as like cohesiveness and teams gelling together in that first day of an annual.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, having been part of annuals for quite some time now, it really truly is amazing the growth, especially when you've been with a team for multiple years and you can see where they were in the beginning and then now see where they are, and all of the growth and just the change that has occurred within the business, but also within individuals. It's absolutely incredible.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that piece of it. Well, so I'm really curious, most of my audience is second in command leaders, most of them integrators, so they're familiar with EOS. But what is something that you see as like a common theme right now, different challenges that you're seeing for second in command leaders?
Yeah. So, second in command leaders I feel like it's the most, what is the word even for it? Like the most integral, like the most important role in the business. They are the glue that holds everything together. They run the day-to-day, right? And so they've got a lot on their shoulders, and they're so key to the success of the business. The businesses that I've worked with, that I've seen that have the most success, have the strongest VI duo, or like first in command, second in command, like duo, that have that relationship that's like, that dynamic duo. And that second in command position there, it's so important and so powerful and so integral to the business. I think that can really weigh heavily on that leader, on their shoulders, and it can feel very isolating and lonely, to be that person, to have, to be the person that's like holding everything down. They're the, they're the glue that's holding it all together. Like, so what I've seen is a lot of loneliness and really like seeing a second in command person feeling isolated. And so that's why I especially love your organization and groups that can bring people together to help them not feel so lonely and feel so isolated. But that's definitely a trend that I've been seeing over the past couple of years.
Yeah, no, and I can definitely understand that too, right? Because being a second in command leader for, so long, it was one of those challenges that I had, right? The visionary is handing this responsibility to you, but that's putting that weight on your shoulders. So sometimes it doesn't feel appropriate to be able to go back to them and saying, I've got all of these challenges, help me through it, when they've shifted that responsibility to you. But then also it's sometimes inappropriate to go to the leadership team just yet, because there are certain things you need to put in place, or, certain things that need to be flushed out before it's delivered to them. So
Correct.
it really does put you in this very lonely position of like, I'm the only one in the organization that has this responsibility, but who do I go to?
Mm-hmm.
Who do I talk to?
Yeah.
And you're right. Listen, there are, it's why we created, HERverse and Female Executive Mastermind now, which was formerly Female Integrator Mastermind. But that's why FEM was created, was because, all of so many integrators that I had met felt lonely. And so let's come together and really help each other. And when you have that, first of all, just that feeling of not being alone anymore is incredible. But Amanda, some of the conversations I've had with people of, hey, I've got this challenge, and they post it in our community, and then there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people responding with answers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so powerful and it's so important. I've seen the benefit of community in a lot of areas of my life. Like, we don't have any family in state. And like I said, I have 5 children. And so my husband and I have had to sort of like build, they say it takes a village. We've had to like create this village for ourselves and for our family because it's just doing things in community and like having that support is invaluable. And so it's so necessary. And then I've, seen the benefit of it in my own life, in my professional life, being part of like our Soccer Shots community. And then now the EOS community, there's 800 implementers worldwide. And EOS is such an incredible organization that is so supportive. And, we're so aligned with our core values. And I have grown exponentially over the last 3 years because of my experience in this community, and there's that saying, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Right. So it's so important. And it's so needed in that second in command sort of world, like to create those villages, those tribes, right? So that they can support each other and not feel so alone. And like you said, yeah, when you feel seen, when there's, when you're struggling alone, it feels insurmountable sometimes, like with whatever it has to do with in life, in business, with your mental health, in your personal life, whatever. But when there are people who can come alongside you, be like, I've dealt with that too, or I am doing that, I'm dealing with that now, or, they can like come alongside you, be like, you're not alone. Like, I've experienced that. It's just, as far as the human experience is concerned, it's so powerful and validating. So I think it's just really important in all realms. And for that second in command, it's super important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one of my favorite stories that I tell quite frequently is, when we first came together as the original 5 that created FEM, there was one of our members that she was talking about this issue that she'd had in her company for like 10, 12 years. I mean,
Mm.
this was a decade long problem that she had. And she came to this group and said, I mean, I'm literally at my last wind here. This is the last time I'm going to try and solve this. If I can't solve this, I'm going to walk away. And she had conversation with the five of us where we all shared different experiences. Have you tried this? I've tried this. She was able to come back together with her team and using all of the different things that we had suggested. And like a month later, she came back to us and said, I implemented this, this, and this, and we have solved our decades long issue
Wow.
that we've had. And that was profound for me. Like, wow, that community, and really being able to walk alongside your peers who have been there, done that, and can help you along the way. It's a game changer.
Yeah. And it's really beautiful because then their wins are your wins, right?
Mhm.
Like we can all do this together. Like we can all together we rise, right? So it's like, yeah, I just think, one of our Soccer Shots core values was stronger together. And that's always kind of like in the back of my mind. My husband and I, like I said, we do everything together. We're partners in everything across the board. And we're actually launching a podcast later this year, in the fall, and it's called Better Together, because we really truly believe that we are better together and that people are better when they come together. And so, I think that's a beautiful story. It's really powerful. I think when people can do that, come alongside each other and change the trajectory of businesses, of lives, so
Yeah.
that's really cool.
I love that. I love that. So you've talked about your husband being your like partner in all things a couple of times now. So I know you did Soccer Shots together, and you will have a very beautiful blended family where you've adopted in different things. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So yeah, my husband and I got married in the early 2000s. And on our first date, we talked about everything under the sun, and adoption came up at that time. And so we always knew that would be part of our story, right from the jump. Then, like I said, I had 4 kids in 5 years. So that conversation was off the table. During that time, I didn't even have time to like brush my hair or finish a cup of coffee before it got cold, let alone have a conversation about adoption. But when my youngest was 4, we were introduced to this organization called KidSave. They're an incredible organization based out of LA. They bring older children up from Colombia who are orphaned, and they're available for adoption, and families host them for the summer here in America in the hopes of advocating for them and connecting them with an adoptive family. Sometimes the family that hosts is the adoptive family. They end up adopting that child. Other times you kind of play matchmaker and you find a forever family for this child. And we've done both. A couple of summers ago, we had 7 kids. We hosted 2 girls, and they were our foster daughters for that summer. We found them a family. But in 2018, we hosted our son, Sebastian, and we actually, if you get to know the Barkeys, if you get to know us, this is so typical of us, but we don't do things really like in a typical fashion. So we actually, as soon as we saw his picture on the hosting website, we knew that was our kid. We didn't need to, like, there was no trial. There was no, let's see how this goes and host him and then decide if we're going to adopt him. We were like, no, we're adopting this kid, whether he burns our house down or whatever. So we started the adoption process and the hosting process at the same time, which is not usual. And then we had to pause the adoption process while we were hosting him for that summer. And then we picked it back up. And then later on that year, we went to Colombia to pick him up and complete the adoption. And then by Christmas time, we were a family of 7. So it was less than 9 months, less than like the typical time that you carry a baby to full term, from start to finish, from when we saw his picture on that website to coming home at Christmas time. It was 7 months. So it was fast and furious, but just an unbelievable experience. If you want to like get kind of deeper and see more of that experience, You can just Google American family adopts Colombian boy. There is a video of us asking him to be part of our family, and it went kind of viral. So you may have already seen it. Hundreds of millions of people have. But if you haven't, grab a box of tissues and just Google American family adopts Colombian boy, and you can see the video. And yeah, it was a beautiful experience. It still is. So yeah, we have 5 children in a 7-year age span. 2 were born in Canada, 2 were born in America, 1 was born in Colombia. We're just like kind of like the UN over here. We're a melting pot of countries and cultures.
Oh, I love that though. That is, I mean, that's really truly like that's so neat.
Thank you.
If you had, a woman who was sitting across the table from you that was saying, "Hey, I'm trying to make a decision about whether I want to be a mom, whether I want to lean into my career, it's a debate for me." What advice would you give her?
I would say you can have it all. You can do anything that you want to do. I have lived, I feel like, a million different lives in my short lifetime. I'm 41 years old, and I have I've gone to beauty school. I've been a stay-at-home homeschool mom. I've been an entrepreneur. Now I'm a business coach. I'm a philanthropist. If you want to do something, just say yes. Like, don't think I'm a high fact finder. I'm a low quick start. For those of you who are listening who know the Colby, I'm a 6'7", 3'4". My husband is a 10 quick start. So maybe that helps me just in life, having, that person, that supporter that will catch me and have plan B, C, D, E, F. But I would say just say yes, jump in. You don't need to know the next, you don't have to have this game plan that goes so far out into the future. You just need to know the next right step and just take that step, and then take the next one and the next one, and it'll all work out exactly the way it's supposed to. But I think that we are capable of more than we actually think that we are. There's a fire inside of us, or, there's something inside each of us that for some reason we suppress and we don't allow to fully, come out. And I feel like if you can just throw caution to the wind and just, trust the process and accept that this is all going to work out for you. It's all happening for you. It's not happening to you. You can have it all. You can do whatever you want to do. It might look different than what you're thinking it's going to look like. It might take longer, than other people and their journeys. But, I'm living proof. So if I can do it, you can do it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Because, it is a question I get from a lot of my coaching clients that, there's a struggle, right? And so I very much so say to them, and I think the one thing for me, Amanda, that I would love women to know is, listen, if you want it all, go for it all. Have the family, have the career, have the beautiful white picket fence, but define what your all is, right?
Exactly.
Everybody's all doesn't have to look the same. So if yours is as a family and that's where you want to pour your energy, go for it, my friend. If it's career only, go for it. If it's all, go for it. But define your own all and what that means.
Yeah. And once you know what that means, stick to your guns, create, put those boundaries in place. Be intentional. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, right? So I know for me, I'm very good. I'm an EOS implementer. So obviously I'm good at defining and clarifying priorities, and then creating goals and actionable steps to accomplish what and get what I want. But in my own life, I've seen that, if I say yes to everything, I'm a people pleaser. I'm a yes girl. I'm a nurturer. So it's my natural inclination to want to say yes to everything. But I know that if I'm saying yes to something, I'm saying no to something else. That might be my kids. That might be myself. And at this stage of my life, that ain't happening. That's not negotiable. So get really clear on what you want, and then create an intentional plan to design your life around those priorities, and stick to your guns. Create boundaries, put boundaries in place in your life, and don't violate those boundaries for yourself. I think that that's really important.
I could not agree more. And I think you're right. Putting it in writing is a big step. Number one, it just solidifies all of your thoughts and gets it clear. But also, once it is in writing, it's one of those things where it's like, no, this is my plan. This is what I'm doing. So I absolutely love that you mentioned that. That's incredible. And not just in every area of our lives and what we're doing. So,
oh, for sure.
Amanda, this has been so much fun, as I knew it would be, friends. So many fun conversations and things.
I could be on here with you for hours, honestly.
Really good. And that's where I have to be careful, right? Because I know you and I could spend like 4 hours together and be like, there's still not enough time. Let's keep going.
Totally.
I want to end our conversation with rapid fire question here.
Great.
And I think you know where I'm going. So you know how much honor, empower, and inspire means to me. Honor for me means thinking about the generation of women that came before us, the women who really truly like laid a foundation of, broke through doors and glass ceilings for us today. Who is a woman of a generation before us that you want to honor?
Yeah. So she's not famous. Nobody here on this call will know who she is, but my great grandmother, she was in my life until I was 19. She passed away when I was 19 years old. And like I said earlier, my grandparents were all political refugees. And so she went from war-torn USSR, and her husband was taken as a prisoner of war to a war camp. And she took her 6 children and made this huge, long, crazy pilgrimage to South America from Europe. They were on ships and trains and ended up in South America with she was given a plot of land, a piece of dirt, and some blankets and some seeds and some tools. And she had to build a life from nothing. And so when I think of, where I've come from and everything I've accomplished, like, even in my lifetime, like going from growing up in the Great White North in Canada to the life I'm living now, but which is by no means picture perfect, but it's perfect for me. I'm living a life by design, like I said, and in Southern California, I have a beautiful family. I have thriving businesses, and I just think about how far I've come since where she was. It's just mind-boggling. It blows my mind. So I think about her often, and I hope that my life and how I'm living my life, everything that I'm accomplishing is honoring her and her sacrifices.
Oh, I love that. I'm sure she is looking down on you. So proud, friend. So proud. So empower is thinking about a woman of today that is, in the business world, whether it's an owner or a leader, that either you would love to see empowered to really truly be her confident, strong self, or a woman that empowers you. Who's the one that you would want to recognize?
Yeah, so there is a woman in my life. Her name is Charity, and she is a season behind me as far as personally and professionally. And she actually found me this year, and we've entered in sort of like a mentorship relationship. So I've been mentoring her, and we've been meeting regularly, and I'm just so impressed by her. As much as she gets from me in our meetings together, I get from her. Like, she's been just teaching me a lot about myself, and her drive and her just like hunger for learning is really inspiring to me. And so I'm so honored and fortunate to have been able to enter into this mentorship relationship this year. And she is empowering me to be a better version of myself. And I hope that I'm doing the same for her. And so that's been a really special thing that I've been able to experience this year.
I love that. And I'm always, amazed that when I think I'm going into one type of relationship, especially when it's teacher or mentor or coach, how much I receive from them. So I love that you recognize that. That's amazing. Yeah. Okay. And last is inspire. So who is a future generation, a generation that's coming up that you want to inspire?
Well, so I have 5 kids, and I have 4 boys and 1 girl. So my daughter, Michaela, she's 11 years old. She's just the light of my life. And I could get emotional talking about it, but like, you know, I see so much in her that she's so confident and so driven and so like she inspires me. Her intuitiveness and just like the care that she shows for people, that's just like so innate. It's just like inside of her. It's absolutely inspiring to me. And so yeah, having this little person that I'm helping to train and mold and bring up in such a time as this, so this crazy world that we live in, it's something that it's just a responsibility that's not lost on me, but such a gift, a daily gift. She inspires me every single day. And yeah, and I see so much potential in her. I'm really excited to see the woman that she turns into, that she's becoming.
Oh, well, with you as her mom, I'm sure she's going to be.
Thank you. That's sweet.
Thank you. I love you to pieces. Thank you so much for coming on today and having a conversation. There were so many good nuggets from our conversation that I got, and I hope others did as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I hope to see you again next week. Next week, we have another one of my favorite people on the planet. Kate Norton is coming on to talk about some things. So we hope to see you next week. Have a great one.